Good Saturday morning, Grace Lutheran Church. Today we're talking a little bit about early Christian heresies. Last week we spoke on our Bible lectures about the nature of God, and we noted that man is limited. Man is limited in his intellect, he is limited in his comprehension. And with that as a background, I always like to think of early Christian heresies as more like unsuccessful attempts by sinful man to ingest the enormity of God whilst at the same time keeping their own worldviews. It's a horrible way of doing theology, completely and utterly unsuccessful. But we can see in these failed theologies, and we can learn and we can create a hedge of protection around ourselves that we don't fall into the same traps, so to speak. The first one we're going to talk about is Gnosticism, and Gnosticism is really a bit of a misnomer. Gnosticism, as far as I'm concerned, is not really a Christian heresy because Gnosticism doesn't come out of Christianity. It predates Christianity. And as Gnostic teachers in the 3rd, 4th, 6th century were losing their grip on people and thereby losing their place in society, these Gnostic teachers, these rival religions, co-opted selected parts of Christianity and then used it for their own purposes. The Gospel of Thomas is a really good example of this. Our unknown author of the Gospel of Thomas, which, by the way, is not even close to being the Apostle Thomas, but our unknown Gnostic teacher took pieces of Scripture, pieced it together the way he liked it, and then added in his own teachings, and then went about masquerading as a Christian minister. Gnosticism does not teach Christianity. Gnosticism teaches that the spirit is entirely good, matter is entirely bad. Therefore, salvation, real salvation, is the escape from materialism through gnosis, which is just the Greek word for knowledge. It's almost like the modern use sometimes of being woke. But instead of salvation through knowledge in Jesus Christ, salvation comes through esoteric knowledge or Gnostic. We still have Gnostics with us today. I wrote a 20-page lecture that I've tried to record 5 or 6 times, and it just gets so deep into the weeds that I delete the recording and then I try to rewrite it, and I just haven't got to it yet. At some point I'll get to it. Modern Gnostics are purveyors of what you would call esoteric knowledge. Generally, not all the time, but generally they tend to fall into sort of your general hippie types. They generally tend to be wealthy, but remember, not all of the time are they going to be wealthy in material things. Remember that the material things are no good at all. Material things mean nothing. But they still tend to be wealthy, meaning that a lot of times their wealth takes the form of massive human capital or even goodwill. Sometimes it's aesthetical capital, right? Writers, painters, sculptors, artists of all different counts and stripes. People who might not amass a great deal of wealth, but if they need money, they just go sell something that they made. They pick up $20,000 and go, oh, look, I have rejected the material realm, although I need the 20 grand. So I'll sell this. And then I generally tend to own everything that they own is sort of owned outright. Sometimes their wealth is hidden in Ivy League educations and connections that come with those lifestyles, including every once in a while trusts that they despise and never talk about, but still have. Modern Gnostics generally like to consider themselves New Agers and are considered New Agers by those around them. The humor is that there's nothing new in anything that they do or anything they teach. There's nothing new about Gnosticism. There's nothing new about the New Age movement. There's nothing new about rejecting materialism. There's nothing new about intellectual elitism. There is nothing new about secret knowledge. It doesn't matter if you're talking about super beats, snake oil, yoga, or this year's best-selling self-help book. There's nothing new about any of it. They're just selling an old product wrapped up in a brand new wrapping and going, look what I found. And for $29.99, I can sell it to you. Gnosticism, ancient Christian heresy. If you want more on it, you can read this book, Gnostic America by Peter Burfield, which is more than you'll ever need to know about it. Wonderful book, absolutely great. But again, if you'd like to read more about Gnosticism in America, Gnostic Americas, there's your good starting point. Y'all have a great Saturday. I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. God bless your days.